It was late in the evening when the fluorescent lights of the hospital corridor flickered dimly against the silence of the night. Suddenly, the heavy doors burst open. A frail little girl, no more than 10 years old, staggered inside. Her hair was messy, her clothes smudged with dirt, and her small face bore the marks of exhaustion far beyond her years. But what gripped the hearts of everyone watching wasn't just her presence, it was the sight of her carrying her younger brother on her back. His tiny arms were draped weakly around her shoulders, his face pale, his breathing shallow. She was barely strong enough to hold him, yet somehow, with every trembling step, she pushed forward. The weight of her brother wasn't just physical, it was a desperate fight against time, against fear, against losing the only family she had left. Friends, before we continue with this powerful story, if you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the loyalty of animals who sometimes show more love than we could ever imagine, please take a moment to like this video, share it with your loved ones, subscribe to Pawsitive Tales, and let us know in the comments what loyalty means to you. Your support helps us keep telling stories that touch the heart and remind us of the goodness still left in this world. The little girl's name was Emily, and her brother, Sam, was only 7. Life had not been kind to them. Their parents were gone, tragedy had stolen them away far too soon, and the children had been living with relatives who, rather than giving them comfort and warmth, treated them as a burden. It was Emily who had become Sam's mother, protector, and friend all rolled into one. That night, when Sam's fever spiked and his small body shook with chills, she knew she couldn't wait for help that might never come. With no money, no ride, and no adult to guide her, Emily did the unthinkable. She lifted her brother onto her back and set out into the night, walking mile after mile until the hospital's lights came into view. But the journey had taken its toll. By the time she reached the hospital doors, her legs were weak, her chest burned, and tears stung her eyes. She whispered prayers under her breath, begging whatever force watched over children like her to not take Sam away. Doctors and nurses rushed forward as she stumbled inside, and just when her knees were about to give out, something remarkable happened. A K9 police dog, who had been visiting the hospital with his handler as part of a security sweep, broke away from his post. His eyes locked on Emily and Sam, and with an urgency that no one could explain, he sprinted to her side. The German Shepherd stood firm, nudging his body under Sam's dangling legs, steadying Emily so she wouldn't collapse under the weight. It was as though the dog understood her struggle, as though he knew she had given every ounce of her strength and now needed his. Gasps filled the hallway as doctors reached for the children, and Emily, still clutching her brother tightly, whispered thank you through cracked lips, though whether to the doctors, to God, or to the dog, no one could tell. Sam was rushed into emergency care, but Emily could not be separated from him. She sat outside the room, shivering, her small hands clenched tightly together. The K9, whose name was Rex, refused to leave her side. His handler tried to call him back, but Rex stood firm, his eyes fixed on Emily with a loyalty that was unshakable. Every time Emily shook or cried, Rex leaned against her, offering the warmth and steadiness that no human could provide at that moment. It was as though the dog had chosen her, not out of duty, but out of love. As the hours passed, Emily's story slowly came to light. Nurses discovered the bruises on her arms, the dirt on her clothes, and the fact that she had walked barefoot for over an hour to get to the hospital. Each detail broke the hearts of those who listened. Yet through it all, Emily never asked for anything for herself. She only begged them to save Sam. She didn't cry about her pain, her hunger, or her exhaustion. Her entire world was wrapped up in the fragile boy behind those doors. When the doctors finally emerged, their faces grave, Emily's heart nearly stopped. They explained that Sam had pneumonia and his condition was critical. If she had arrived even an hour later, the outcome might have been irreversible. Emily collapsed to her knees, tears pouring down her face. But then, something extraordinary happened again. Rex let out a sharp bark, almost as if scolding fate itself, and then pressed his head against Emily's chest. It was as though he was telling her not to give up, that hope still remained. The medical team promised they would do everything possible, and Rex stayed by Emily, refusing to let her sink into despair. Over the next few days, Emily lived in the hospital waiting room. She had no home to return to, no one to call, nowhere else to be. She curled up on a chair at night, holding on to the hope that her brother would wake up again. And every night, Rex found his way to her side. His handler, moved by the unexplainable bond, allowed it. Doctors, nurses, and patients alike began noticing the sight of the little girl and the loyal canine curled up together in the corner. It was as though fate had given Emily a guardian angel in the form of a four-legged friend. When Sam's condition took a turn for the worse, Rex once again shocked everyone. He pawed frantically at the door of the ICU just moments before Sam's vitals began to crash. It was as though he sensed the danger before the machines could. Nurses rushed in just in time, stabilizing the boy. How could he have known? They whispered among themselves. But Emily knew. She believed Rex had been sent to protect her brother, to give them both the second chance they so desperately needed. Day after day, the bond deepened. Emily began to smile for the first time in months when Rex playfully nudged her to eat food the nurses brought. She began to believe that maybe, just maybe, miracles were real. And when Sam finally opened his eyes, weak but alive, the first thing he saw wasn't the doctors or the machines. It was Rex, sitting faithfully at his bedside, his tail wagging slowly, his eyes soft with relief. The entire hospital erupted in emotion. Nurses wept, doctors cheered, and Emily threw her arms around her brother, sobbing with joy. In that moment, she wasn't the broken, abandoned child carrying the weight of the world on her shoulders. She was simply a sister, reunited with her brother, wrapped in the kind of hope that can heal even the deepest wounds. But the story didn't end there. News of Emily, Sam, and Rex spread beyond the hospital walls. People from the community who had once overlooked the siblings now came forward, offering support, donations, and love. The police department, inspired by Rex's instinct and loyalty, petitioned for Emily and Sam to be placed in a foster home where they could be safe and cared for. And when the final decision was made, something incredible happened. Rex's handler requested that the children be placed in his own family's care. He told the court that Rex had already chosen them, and who was he to argue with a dog's heart? From that day on, Emily and Sam were no longer alone. They had a home, a family, and a guardian in Rex, who never let them out of his sight. Emily no longer carried the weight of the world by herself, because a loyal dog had carried it with her. And for Sam, every day was a second chance, every breath a reminder that sometimes, miracles wear fur and walk on four legs. If this story has touched your heart the way it has touched ours, please like this video, share it with your loved ones, and subscribe to Pawsitive Tales. Your support helps us continue telling stories of love, loyalty, and the unbreakable bond between humans and animals. Special request. Before you go, comment below with one word that describes what loyalty means to you. Your words might inspire someone else who needs hope today.